am the Kid Movie Ninja.
Hi, Internet! And welcome to Kid Movie Ninja with your hosts, Fighting Leaf and Husky the Wolf. I get a lot of requests for a lot of different movies to review, and I'd like to think that given enough time, I'll get to them all eventually. But probably not! But this one is actually rather special because the one who requested this movie is actually the star of the movie itself. Butch Patrick was a child actor most famous for his work in the old sitcom The Munsters, where he played the little werewolf boy Eddie. He's also starred in a number of other works, but today we're going to be focusing on one in particular. So thank you, Butch Patrick, for recommending this movie. And for signing our potentially bootleg copy. Now, without further ado, The Phantom Tollbooth, starring Butch Patrick. If the name sounds familiar, it's probably because it's based on a book written by Norton Juster. I hate names, they suck! Regardless, there will be a lot of deviations from the book, and no, I will not be pointing them out to you. I've never read the book, and I do not care to right now. You make it stop! Make it stop! Oh yeah, one thing I should mention, this is obviously a VHS rip, so there's going to be a few hiccups like that here throughout. Anyway, this is Butch Patrick's character, Milo, a child so jaded and bored that he goes through every waking moment of his life on autopilot, as explained by this song. I wish the world could be my pie. Then I could just sit back and eat everything around me forever. Didn't stop you from trying that one time. Yeah, I almost got to freaking China! How long is this song anyway? Wait, go back a bit. Chuck Jones? You mean the guy who brought us that awesome Grinch cartoon? As well as many Looney Tunes shorts that have become classics over the years. Let there be much rejoicing! Anyway, the song finally ends after about 3 minutes and 25 seconds of Milo walking across town. Something else actually starts happening. What the heck is that noise? What the heck is that thing? That's a phone, Husky. No! This is a phone. That is a strangulation device. Can we get one of those? Anyway, Milo answers the phone to talk to his friend Ralph so they can both talk about how bored and miserable they are.
Everything's pointless.
Oh, to be young and stupid again. I hate that freaking book! Darn it! I wish it would just die in a fire! But yeah, he mopes around lamenting how sucky life is when a cartoon sound effect happens. As it turns out, something magical is about to happen. Magical? Let's see this kid stay bored after seeing a huge box with stripes on it randomly appearing in his living room. Awesome! And he was never heard from again. So after the box calls him out for being kind of a loser, a little slip of paper tells him to pull a tab marked tab. And then, whoa, it's attacking me! Run for here! No, it's fine. Never mind, we're not dead. The strange magical toll booth starts talking to him. Lands beyond. Is he dead? Because we only just started this movie. Oh, so he's not dead. Burr! He is then given a magical Power Wheels car and is told to pick a destination on his map.
Sounds like someone's got a case of destination fever.
Okay.
Okay, which place is most likely to get me killed? But the moment the journey sounds like it's gonna be the slightest bit difficult, Milo has second thoughts. In the end, though, boredom wins out, so he chooses to head for the great unknown. Wasted time refunded? Where the heck was that deal when we sat through movies like Hop and The Smurfs? All those horrible hours of our lives we'll never get back! Rocket launcher! Anyway, now weird stuff can happen. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and guess this part wasn't in the book.
I'm a cartoon.
Okay, we get it. He's animated now. Next scene! Eventually, he drives off into the portal, and it just now occurred to me that that portal wasn't actually there a second ago. Could he have just gone through the rest of his life as a cartoon like that? That would have been so awesome! But knowing his character, he probably would have gotten bored of that too. Ungrateful punk! You're telling me. I'm getting flashbacks to the beginning of Speed Racer over here. Only a lot slower. Hand-drawn. Which automatically makes this better. Yeah. First on our list of stops is a visit from Officer Shortshrift. You will learn that almost nothing spoken in this place ever makes any kind of sense. Wait, you can choose that here? Wait, what? 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 But when Milo mentions his trip to the castle in the air, this happened. What the? This must be the castle where Frau Blucher is from. And the crazy cop guy is so shocked by this that he scuttles away screaming. Okay, I love you, bye-bye. Milo then drives up to a land called Expectations, and it's around here that the point of this movie seems to become ineluctably clear. This is a PSA movie meant to be educational in some capacity. How? We're not quite sure yet. Educational? Education sucks! Like reading! I can't believe we're stuck with that. Ah! What is that? So, Milo asks for directions to a place called Dictionopolis, and this man, who introduces himself as the Weatherman, no, not the Weatherman, W-H-E-T-H-E-R. Why is he called the Weatherman? Because everyone here is crazy! My brain! The whole movie is like this. Try too hard to make sense out of anything and you will be left frustrated. Whether the weather is cold, whether the weather is hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Case and point. After Milo is done having his brain scrambled by the crazy person, he decides it would be a good idea to take a nap while driving, and ends up taking a wrong turn toward the doldrums. Yes, because that's the real reason you shouldn't take a nap while driving. I don't want to think anymore. Thinking hurts. Really. I believe this movie would posit a different perspective. Great, my DVD transfer seems to be in the doldrums too. What the heck is a doldrum? Is it candy? How fitting that the scan would choose this spot to screw up on. The doldrums is a place where thinking is forbidden and lounging around and doing nothing is the goal. That way, these little cretins can swallow you up and slowly digest you.
That is seriously messed up. Apparently, people who didn't think or pay attention to life end up here. Lucky for Milo, he gets a wake-up call from randomly appearing Watchdog. Why is he called a Watchdog? Because puns, that's why. Murderer!
The watchdog tells Milo that the only way out of the doldrums is to think. Apparently it doesn't have to be about anything in particular.
While the Lethargians regroup for an all-out attack, Milo begins thinking more and more, giving his vehicle the power to get them out of the doldrums. So what is this place? Some kind of psychic landscape like Silent Hill or something?
Possibly. For a PSA movie, its aim doesn't seem to be all that clear or specific yet. Mostly about getting your mind in gear so far.
Hey, like that car!
Yes, Husky. Like the car.
Smart! So it turns out the watchdog's name is TikTok, or just Talk for short. And he decides that Milo needs someone to watch over him more than the Lethargians do. So now, Talk joins the party!
Then we get a song about how great time is or something.
Fast forward.
Fast forward.
Fast forward!
After the song, Talk explains that this place used to be called the Kingdom of Wisdom. Now it's two different states, the Kingdom of Words, Dictionopolis, run by King Azaz, and the Kingdom of Numbers, Digitopolis, run by the Mathemagician. I think I'm starting to get what kind of PSA this is.
All of them! Beyond both of those kingdoms are the Mountains of Ignorance, where demons live. And behind them is the castle in the air! Ah!
Stop saying that.
Saying what?
Can everyone just please stop saying that so we can move on, please?
Frau Blücher!
It's gonna be one of those days. Well, then we see a rainbow, and the weatherman floating through the air. A setup for something later in the movie, no doubt.
Then we almost literally run into another freak of nature. Loud Pants McCrazy Person or something. He loves one thing over all others. And what is that, you may ask?
Noise, 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 noise.
Yep, this guy likes himself some noise.
Oh, and get this. He actually whips up a potion that'll make it so that whoever drinks it will never hear a pleasant sound again.
Oh yes, this reminds me of the time when I put together the horrible blistering itch-causing lotion at the University of Science. No one really seemed to go for that one for some reason.
Remember, kids, science is bad for you.
As it turns out, Milo doesn't want to have pleasant sounds removed from his life for some strange reason, so the crazy person gives the potion to a creature called the Awful Din.
The Awful Din is apparently comprised of random brush strokes, I guess.
The expression Awful Din has fallen out of normal English use since this movie was made, but it's basically any kind of loud, sustained, unpleasant sound, like will be sung about in this following music number.
What? Another song?
Yes, Husky, this is a musical, or had that eluded you?
What were we watching again?
Pay attention, Husky! The point of this scene is to talk about how the world seems to be full of noise.
That means you, viewers!
And Talk steals a jug of laughter before he goes. So far, this movie is teaching that making noise is bad, but stealing property is good.
Life lessons to take to heart. So after a musical reprise, they meet these two, lots of doormen. He's invited to a banquet. Moving on!
They have arrived at Dictionopolis, and, as the name would imply, everyone here is completely out of their minds over words. Here they meet such interesting characters as the Spelling Bee.
'Cause he spells a lot.
And the Humbug.
'Cause he smells a lot. Get it? Get it?
The expression humbug actually means false speech and deception. The humbug in this story is depicted as being a shallow, duplicitous individual.
What now?
You know, he's disingenuous.
Huh?
He's mendacious, Husky.
I don't know what any of that means!
The disingenuous shortstops of the world will fall to the anxious might of the most serendipitous octagonopus.
So yeah, the humbug here is actually gonna be with us for the rest of the movie. The Spelling Bee's most important role is coming up soon.
The Spelling Bee and the Humbug have a fight, and then Officer Shortshrift shows up again. He then sentences both Milo and Talk to 6 million years in prison.
What? 6 million years? Shut up, dumb bug, you suck!
So they're taken to the dungeon where they meet a witch.
A witch! A witch!
No, not a witch, a witch.
Oh, not this again!
It turns out the weatherman we met at the beginning of this adventure is the witch's brother, which must make for a very confusing surname situation.
She used to be in charge of helping people choose just the right word for every situation until she was sent to the dungeon after the banishment of rhyme and reason.
Turns out the king of Dictionopolis and Digitopolis had an argument over which was more important, words or numbers. When they asked the princesses, Sweet Rhyme and Pure Reason,
Again with this princess thing! Why aren't there any queens in fiction?
taxes, the two princesses said that words and numbers were of equal value.
The kings didn't like being equal, so they banished the princesses to the castle in the...
Don't say that place's name again. And that left
Numbers!
the king...
Numbers! Numbers!
Keep in mind,
Numbers!
we're kind of in the middle of something here.
So after Milo vows to find a way to free the princesses and the witch from prison, these goons show up and tell him that the royal banquet is on. No time for jail? This place is awesome!
That would explain what Randall is doing out of jail right now.
Scheduling conflict!
So they're taken to see King Azaz the Unabridged, and then Milo mentions a number. I can understand why they banished Rhyme and Reason now. Never mentioning a number ever doesn't make any sense.
Like most of this movie. Which makes sense. Because it doesn't make sense. It's my brain!
You learn to live with it. And since it's been a while since we've had a musical number,
You said number!
King Azaz starts singing about all the tons of wonderful things you can do with words.
Bored now, time for food! They set up the banquet and tell everyone to make speeches. The only problem is that no one told Milo that he would need to eat his words. Literally! Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of bacon!
Wouldn't that be just as bad?
This movie hurts my brain! So, Milo suggested the king that they should allow Rhyme and Reason to return. So eventually, Kingy Ding here agrees to let Milo bring back Rhyme and Reason, and asks for some volunteers to go with him.
Spelling Bee is back.
Eh?
The Spelling Bee from a couple of scenes ago returns to make the humbug accidentally volunteer. Wait, why was the humbug invited to the banquet anyway?
Who cares? King Azazamarazamataz gives Milo a bag full of all the words ever because they'll help somehow. I don't get it, so here's Humbug screaming in pain.
Not really sure why he needed to come along anyway, because he will contribute nothing but bad ideas.
Good plan!
So off they go to visit the Math Magician in Digitopolis, when they are met with a stone wall. The humbug says it's no use getting through it, but Talk says Milo can get through the wall the same way he got out of the doldrums. By thinking.
I don't want to think anymore. Brain is poop.
Specifically here, he needs to think about mathematical things, and before long the wall crumbles and they can get through.
And unlike the last scene, we meet up with the Math Magician right away. And he goes right into his own musical number about how numbers are so much better than words. Even though he's using words. Tons of them. Can we get Rhyme and Reason back so the world can make sense again?
That's a very important point Milo brings up to the Math Magician, but he refuses to allow it since King Azaz allowed it.
Basically, he's being a big whiny baby. But Milo has an idea. If he can convince the Math Magician that he and Azaz agree on something, then he'll let them rescue the princesses.
Azaz agreed with something, and you disagree, correct? Anything Azaz disagrees with, you agree. Is that correct? So each of you agree that he will disagree with the other, right? Right. Then you admit that you do agree with Azaz about something. You agree about disagreeing. I've been tricked.
This is why we don't cover very much educational content on this show.
Brain?
So the Math Magician allows Milo and company to rescue the princesses and gives him a magical pencil with all the numbers and equations ever inside of it. Wake up, Husky. They're about to meet the only sane person left in this world.
What? Sanity? Someone here's not crazy?
Look for yourself. This is Chroma the Great. He's in charge of conducting sunsets and sunrises.
This is our alleged sane person?
Yep. But you can't argue with his sunsets. He does a great job. The only mistake was asking Milo to stick around and wake him up for the next sunrise.
Also, here's some great advice from the humbug.
And what happens as a result of that? Great job, Humbug. Thanks to you and your crummy advice, the last bit of sanity in this world is now dead. I think I should go ahead and wrap this up. This must be one of my longer reviews. And I seriously need to get better jokes for these. They finally reach the Mountains of Ignorance, meet something called the Senses Taker who is trying to steal their senses. They beat him with a jar of laughter that Talk stole, then meet someone called the Terrible Trivium who wants them to tend to terribly trivial tasks and beat him by staying focused on their mission. In fact, they run into a lot of different demonic entities such as the Demon of Insincerity, the Gelatinous Giant, the Hopping Hindsight, and a ton of others, but he defeats them all by wielding words and numbers in ways that make my face hurt. Talk gets hurt during the battle, leaving Milo to have to run up the steps to the castle in the air alone. And I suppose with all the demons defeated, there's really no need to worry about saying castle in the air again anymore.
From Luca!
Milo finally meets Sweet Rhyme and Pure Reason. Turns out the two of them had sent for Milo in the first place because he was both courageous and really, really bored, not kidding, and the Weatherman shows up, giving them the power to go back to the Kingdom of Wisdom. Talk is all good now, the world is saved, Milo is returned to his home and back to normal. The Phantom Tollbooth leaves his place to go visit some other overly bored sap, bringing to mind so many new questions that my brain hurts all over again.
The end.
If I'm gonna be completely honest, I actually really like this movie. This is an absolutely unforgettable experience. Sure, I picked on this movie quite a bit for being a PSA movie, but as far as PSAs go, this one actually is very entertaining and actually teaches the value of simply not taking one's own mental capacities for granted, or just going through life on autopilot. And I have to say, Butch Patrick, you showed us a good one. One of the few movies that really forces you to think whether you really want to or not.
I'm just glad it's over.
Are you sure about that, Husky?
I need a nap.
Husky, did you get the lights?
Yeah, the room's all nice and dark now. So what's the next thing we're gonna review?
I don't know. The last time I reviewed a movie that was popularly favored by the other critics, I was left disappointed. In fact, that happened twice.
Yeah. Well, what are the odds of that happening a third time, am I right?